So you said this is a stacked group, if I remember correctly. The group was decently stacked. I want to say that, in my mind, I want to say group C and D were like groups of death. I will say that those groups seemed a little bit closer. But in general, all the groups were nicely filled out for sure. But I can't quite recall the groups themselves, but in my mind, C and D had the C and D had the kind of closer in skill and the highest caliber of play. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there. But here we go. This morning in the top left-hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the red Protoss player. The red Protoss here. We have the South Korean Protoss for Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player. The blue Zerg player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Lambo. Okay. Yeah, here we go. We are going to be settling in. We're going to be calming things down. Okay, so after the intensity that is Euthermal and the nonsense we've been seeing from him, we can calm things down and getting to a much more standard ZvP. Now, this is the second ZvP of the broadcast. Lambo did go down to Zound earlier, and Lambo did showcase non-stop all-ins. We had a hyper-aggression of Lambo, and Zound was able to showcase his defensive prowess and shut down Lambo's aggression. We'll see if Lambo feels the need to play the same against NightMare. I will say that the Zound is a bit of a higher caliber player than NightMare, so it's understandable that Lambo would feel necessary to commit to all-ins. But coming into a series against NightMare, Lambo might be feeling a little bit more confident playing macro and playing standard instead. We'll see, especially on a larger map like Winter Madness. Now, speculating that Lambo would play standard, the other side of things, of course, is NightMare. NightMare, he is a lot more willing to be aggressive, especially in the mid-game. He can be very chaotic, and that is where he can thrive. If Lambo is too greedy, then NightMare can catch him with his pants down. For now, standard setups. For now, waiting for the tech, waiting for our initial kind of deviation. Alright, getting there. And here we go. This is going to be a Stargate open out of NightMare. Stargate's most likely into Oracle. Now, technically, we could see Stargate into Void Ray instead to hunt down Overlords and to deny vision. But based on the rally, it should be an Oracle. That should be. She's at Lambo's favored against NightMare, apparently. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll say the Lambo's favored. The reasoning for that is because if you are unfamiliar with the Korean scene, NightMare, he retired. He retired for quite some time last year. NightMare, he actually switched to, is it Deadlock? It's like a relatively new like team like a third-person shooter. I haven't seen it. But NightMare, he started playing and competing in Deadlock. And then he recently came back. I want to say he came back, was it last year, November? It was like October, November of last year where NightMare returned. But because he took some time off, like he's, you know, still kind of getting there. He's still kind of building himself back up. As he only came back to us recently. Post-CWC. Post-CWC. Deadlock, yeah, there you go. That one. That's why it's a little bit difficult to kind of gauge NightMare's skill at the moment, because he took so much time off, and because he hasn't been back with us for too long. So because of that, like, it's a little bit more difficult to kind of figure out like where his strengths lie and how he's looking. We're here to find out, right? Here to find out. Speaking of early Twilight Council, early Council, extra gateways, no forge. That looks like Glaive Adepts. So we do have an aggressive follow-up here by NightMare. Lambo coming in for the scouts. That's coming in at the same time. We do have a double Oracle between the bases. NightMare, he gets 1, 2, getting up to 3 drones. Oh, it does take a lot of hits. Oh, no. Yeah, NightMare here extends. He does overextend. It does lose one of the oracles already. That should not have happened. And my apologies. I assumed it was going to be Glaze. We have Blink on the way instead. This screams 3 base AK Blink all in. Interesting. Interesting setup here. At the same time, Lings, they do hit the pylon. Pylon goes down. So far, Lambo, he defends well. Adepts, shaded between the bases. NightMare, he needs to find some damage here. Let's make his way into the mineral line. Gets 1 drone, denies mining. But not much more than that. The other scary thing here is that because the Oracle count is low, it does mean the Ling run by, the Ling counterattack is going to hit even harder. It's going to hit harder. Now, focusing on NightMare's build here, initially I assumed it was going to be an all-in because the Forge was so late, or because there was no Forge initially, but there is now a later Forge, which means we're going to be hitting into a later +1. This is a little bit perplexing. Usually if we wanted to play 3 base, then we would just skip the Forge entirely. Again, the Forge means that the +1 timing is going to be much later, so I don't really know if that's going to come into play. We'll see. It feels like a bit of a messier build here by NightMare. It's getting a robo, still no gases at the 3rd. True, no gases. No further tech yet. Yeah, taking extra gases is indicative here of a longer game, and that leads us into the Bay. So NightMare, he is macroing. He's macroing out of this. But again, just kind of like a messy setup here. NightMare moves out. As he moves out, a Lambo can move in. Lambo is going for the 3rd. Ooh. Stasis goes off, but Lings, they do bust into the mineral line, and probes are going to go down. NightMare, he's committed. Coming up the ramp. Stasis activated. Nice bait. And baits out the stasis. Getting 5 probe kills across the map. Getting even more damage actually. Getting to 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. Oh my god, it's getting out of hand here. 17 probes go down. NightMare, he is crippled. He will lose everything back at home. And the problem here is that NightMare, he's not set up for an all-in. He's being forced into one. But NightMare is getting a 2nd robo, trying to get to double Colossus production. NightMare, he's lost too much. And NightMare is being pulled apart. And here comes the surround. Lings, they collapse in from behind. Ooh. NightMare does try to blink away, but there are just too many Zerglings. Gets a full surround, locks down the army. And NightMare will lose everything. Will lose everything. But again, there's no Oracle support, no stasis traps, no pulsar beams, no nothing. And Lambo snowballing out of control, going for his counterattack. Back at home, what is it to defend? There's soon to be 1 Colossus. It's going to be a Colossus. But still on the way. Now has arrived. The Colossus will defend. True. Colossus defends. Lambo pulls away. We do have the infestation, but this tells us that Lambo's thinking about Hive Tech and Vipers. And he's droning. Lambo's droning off him here. As Lambo, he can no longer end the game. Cannot deal with the Colossus. Not yet. So the game will continue. The game continues. Lambo is ahead. He's looking very comfortable. He's up to 84 workers already. So 84 drones. Building up into Hydra upgrades, into the pits, into the Hive, into the Vipers. Once Vipers arrive, then Lambo can look to push in and break the 4th base. By that point, there would be a 4th. Assuming that NightMare expands. Nice big offs. NightMare, he is pushing. Okay. NightMare is committing. Has Lambo been too greedy? He did drone up to almost 90. Almost 90 drones. Hive is on the way. Lurker Den is on the way. Again, Lambo, he's getting ready for a longer game. But NightMare's all in. And we're going for the base trade. No. We're going for the base trade. This is maybe best case scenario for NightMare. Hives, they step in, catching out the Oracle. NightMare turns around. Oh no. Yeah, NightMare turns back around. He recalls back home. As you mentioned, NightMare, he's not set up for a longer game. He's got to keep going. We can't turn around like this. Nice position here against the Zerglings. Bloodlings go down. We're building up to 4 Colossus. And as NightMare chases the Hydras, we have another run by. Another counterattack. Remember, recall's on cooldown. Lings at least lock down the Zealots. And now do we commit into the base trade? No, he turns around again. No. Yeah, he turns back around. He's racing back home. By the time he gets back home, Lambo would have killed everything here at the third. It's 20 probe kills. 20 probes. Picking up pylons. Lambo, he's rebuilding back at home. Lurker production has now begun. Okay, NightMare saves the Nexus. More than what I thought he would have achieved here. Does save the Nexus. He's got his 4 Colossus. Glad you mentioned that. I was wondering what happened to NightMare. Yeah, NightMare, he was playing for, I think it was Pulse Esports. Playing for like Pulse Esports. Like he joined an esports team. He was competing in Deadlock. Now he's back. It was like Pulse Esports or Pulse Gaming. It was Pulse something. It could just be Pulse. It could Now though, NightMare, he does get a good angle here on the hatchery at least. Hatchery will go down. If you recall earlier, we spoke about the presence of Vipers and how useful they're going to be against Colossus, but there are no Vipers yet. Okay, there's one Viper coming in. Lings, they kill the third. They knock down the third expansion. First Viper has finally arrived. Only one Viper, limited utility here for Lambo. But it's fine. Like he killed the third. Cashing out more Stalkers. And NightMare has one good fight in him. One good fight. The problem is we have now high-tech Lurkers. The upgrades are done. The Lunkers are here. Also seductions. Oof. Jesus. And massive Lurker shots going up. Viper gets started down. Yeah, no abduct. But it doesn't matter. Oh my god, it does not matter. Everything just melts. The Lurkers, they pop off. And with that, there's nothing left. GG gets called. Lambo takes game number 1. Ay, ay, ay. GG. Lambo does take a lead in the series. Again, it was just a very, very rough game there for NightMare. A very messy build is what I will say. Remember, winding it back, NightMare went for an early council, went for a late forge. So in my mind, I didn't think there was going to be a forge. I was like, oh, okay, we're going into Glaive Adepts, or we're going for like a Blinkstalker 8-gate all-in. Instead, he went for a later forge. He lost his first couple of oracles as well. That meant that he had less vision, less scouting, less to protect his third base. Once the oracle went down, Lambo counterattacked and punished that third. Killed, what was it, almost the entire mineral line then and there as well. And NightMare was forced into what should have been an all-in. Instead, NightMare, he kept coming back home. He kept coming back home, and the problem was, because he was so far behind, and because he had lost so much economy, there was nothing to come back to. So he would constantly recall back home, turn back around, and there was nothing to really save. GG. In the end, Lambo bought enough time for Hive Tech, bought enough time for Lurkers. GG, well played. Whew. With that, we're going to be loading into game 2. Going to be loading into, Ruby Rock. Loading into Ruby Rock. This is going to be a much smaller map in the map pool. Aggression can be favored here. Let's go. As spawning in the top left-hand corner here at Ruby Rock, we have the South Green Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, the German Zerg representing Shopify. It is Lambo. We go. And again, it was just a bit of a shaky build here in a shaky game 1 for NightMare. Hopefully can tighten things up coming into game 2. Hopefully. As we are loading into a smaller map. Again, move outs and aggression are more favored here. Does go for both players, and there's a higher chance that Lambo commits on 3 bases, by the way. Again, if you watch the series against Down, Lambo did all in every game against Down. So it has the capacity to do so here as well. As we mentioned at the start of the series, Lambo, he might not feel the need to. He might be confident enough to be like, you know what, I just gotta play safe, and I'll be fine. We'll see. Now we do have our players moving out. Everything's looking normal, everything's looking standard. Just a little bit too early here to really kind of delve into any further tech. And again, welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock does have a smaller rush distance or shorter rush distance by ground. I would say the third base is a little bit more accessible here. We have a wider entrance into the third base. We have an entrance here in between the bases as well, which is also quite wide. And this is why we have seen a lot of all-ins, a lot of German taxis specifically here, either hitting the natural or hitting the third. Not saying that we have to see an all-in here, but it's an option. It's on the table. Likewise, after what happened in Game 1, I feel like there's a higher chance that NightMare is more aggressive this game as well. As we have our second pylon, we'll soon have our tech of choice. There it is, a Stargate opener out of NightMare. From here, we can open up Oracle or Void Ray. Void Rays would be designed to hunt down Overlords and deny vision. But I don't know if NightMare is really one to embrace Void Ray play. We'll see. Otherwise, just Oracle into Harass into Scouting. Based on the rally, it should be an Oracle. If the rally on the Starport on the Stargate was towards the Overlord or was towards, like veering off towards the right or left-hand side, more indicative of Void Ray play. So it should be the Oracle. Overlord moves up for the Scouts. Oh, never mind. Void Ray. Okay. Yeah, he does deviate. Does change the rally. Never mind. Does change the rally here to the Overlord. And with this Void Ray, now suddenly we do have potential to hide some tech. We can throw down a Fleet Beacon, a second Stargate, a Twilight Council, a Robo. Or even just play standard. True. It could just still be a standard game. The advantage, of course, is that Lambo will not know. Yes, that goes the Overlord. Behind this NightMare is going to be going into his own Oracle. So we have the Oracle follow-up into a third base. Everything's looking normal so far. So far. The downside, of course, is that NightMare, he'll have less Oracles to work with, so less harass. But he does find another Overlord. Ooh, this should not have happened. Yeah, Lambo, he should have pulled back by now. So nice pickup here by NightMare. Gets a second Overlord. He should not get any more. As you can see here, the other Overlords are parked over the Spore. Oracle gets 3 drones. Takes a lot of hits, but does get away. NightMare gets baited in. And we're taking up. We're taking up. It is going to be a lair first by Lambo. Interesting. Going for a lair first before Evo Chamber and before Roach Warren. So a much more tech-heavy start. This can lead into early Hydras. This can lead into early tech. Oh, nice round here with the Lings. Ace down both adepts. Speaking of adepts, they do get across the map. 4 drones here at the third. Nice damage here by NightMare. I mean, he's doing well for himself. NightMare has killed 8 drones so far. 8 drones and 2 Overlords. This is a better start than last game, for example. Like, NightMare had a rough game 1. But here in game 2, it's popping off. Going +1 and Blink. Could you have a Temple Archives as well? Interesting. This time not going Colossus, this time going for Storm. NightMare, he rocks up on the 4th base, and can he force a cancel? Yeah, he will. He can force a cancel. There it is. Lambo stuck on 3 bases. NightMare's all over him this time. It's all over Lambo. All over Lando. Perhaps they throw in another shade. They keep Lambo busy. Do keep him busy here. NightMare setting up back at home. I do think it's wise for NightMare to throw down these shield batteries. Basically, NightMare has done a lot of damage already here, so there's a higher chance that Lambo says, screw it, gets a 4th base just for Larva, and then commits into an all-in, right? There's a high chance here that Lambo all-ins. So NightMare's getting ready. Storm has begun. We'll see if he can hold. As Lambo is cutting workers at 68, and we're not really expecting Lambo to keep droning. Now, my big concern here is that NightMare has no Robo. Yeah, no Robo. It's only just now being thrown out, so no defensive Immortals. Going to be much more heavily reliant here on Storms. Here comes the all-in. We have Railroad Speed on the way, so load up Dropper Lords. 4th base is just for Larva. Now again, I will say that this has been telegraphed quite well, in the sense that NightMare, he should know. Like, he should know what's going on. He more or less is aware. That's why he has this defensive setup. He's got 3 batteries. Storm is ready for this. It will be done in time. And Lambo, he does see the defensive setup. Now, upon seeing this, Lambo, he still doesn't drone. He has a 4th base just for Larva, but he does throw down the pit. So he's thinking further ahead. The pit tells us that Lambo believes that he will not kill NightMare. He's still committed, he's still all in. He does have a backup plan. As Lambo's maxed out. Again, it's all or nothing with Lambo. He's got his 2 armies. He's going to at least deny the expansion. It does knock down the 4th. Ideally wants to snipe this side Templar. He gets 1. 1 Templar goes down. He gets 1. He gets 2. Better trade here for Lambo. Main army's moving in. Does break another, but does bait out another Storm. There's 2 Art Templar left with energy. Wings, they're coming in from behind. They're forcing out Storms. That's the final Storm. Ooh, yeah, the final Storm has landed here, and now we just get a full surround. Lambo, he collapses on the army, and all this side defense doesn't matter. All this setup here at the 3rd base doesn't come into play. NightMare caught with his pants down, out in the open. Ay, ay, ay. What was all of this for? Not like this. Again, NightMare, he more or less knew an all-in was coming, but he didn't fight with any of his side defense. And with that, NightMare has been broken. Been surrounded. No more Storms, and Lambo is snowballing out of control. He will break the 3rd. Now we finally get Immortals, but too little too late. It's too late, man. And Lambo's done it. GG gets called, and Lambo, he'll take the series 2-0, taking down NightMare. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, strong showing there by Lambo. I will say that NightMare had the better early game. Remember, NightMare, he killed, what, 18 drones? Like, NightMare, he killed a lot of workers early on. He did an amazing amount of economic damage, catching out the overlords. It was a good start, and NightMare read it well, that Nolan was going to come his way. He threw down shield batteries, so he was getting ready defensively back at home, but NightMare got too greedy. He got too greedy. What do I mean by that? NightMare tried to get a fourth. He tried to expand, not just take a fourth base, but defend his fourth base. So despite the fact that he had, what was it, 4 or 5 batteries and a bunch of cannons and stasis traps at his third, he didn't fight with it. He didn't take advantage of that defensive position at the third base. Instead, he was surrounded out in the open at the fourth location. So GG, well played. Again, NightMare just being too greedy. He got caught with his pants down. And with that, Lambo does claim the series.